Today is our third day here in Singapore, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a walking tour. There is a 200-year-old hotel that Sue's really interested in seeing. I'm curious to check it out. We have Chinatown. There's also, I believe, Little India. So we're going to do a bit of a walking tour today in this city/country. Let's go check it out. This area is now quite empty compared to when we're here on Sunday when we first arrived, because everybody's back to work and now it's just tourists like us wandering around here. These two beautiful buildings have been combined. The one on the left was originally the Supreme Court, and the one on the right was the municipal building. And you can see the scales of justice up here being held. Gorgeous buildings. They've got to be close to 200 years old. I have never seen a signal light this short. I mean, literally this thing, even almost Sue has to duck. It's that short. It's beautiful here. I mean, they're doing some kind of stadium here that they're setting up for something, but really gorgeous. And across the way over here, there is a church, a bunch of tour buses, but that is an old church. We'll have to go inside and take a look, because usually they're very beautiful. This church is St. Andrew's Cathedral, and it's got to be at least 200 years old. When you go inside, you can see how beautiful it is. All of this intricate woodwork, all the pulpits, all the places for people to sit. There's obviously Bibles and other books here that people read from and pray from. The stained glass that you can see in the back and on the sides is absolutely magnificent. The design of this cathedral is gorgeous, and obviously it's been restored and updated, and they've kept it in very good condition. People are coming in here to pray and to look around, and all the different pulpits like I mentioned earlier, as well as all of the little ornate statues, everything. It's always so beautiful to come into these places. I mentioned before that I'm not a religious person, but I find houses of worship to just be very interesting from an architectural standpoint and just from a dedication and a ritual standpoint. So I always take the time to go inside and take a look. I am extremely impressed once again how clean the city is. Everybody's cleaning here. They have sidewalks, traffic, very, very modern. Again, this is the only other Southeast Asian country that I have been to outside of Thailand. I've been to China, I've been to Hong Kong, but this is really gorgeous. However, things, like I said, are extremely expensive. I think you're going to pay almost $180,000 American for a Toyota Camry that you can only drive for 10 years. And then after that, if you want to drive it more, you have to pay like another $100,000 just to be able to license it for longer. So the cost of living here is crazy expensive, but that's what you get when you have such high expenses. You get a very clean, very walkable, beautiful city. I think we have found the Raffles Hotel. It's almost 200 years old, beautiful from the outside. Curious to see what it looks like inside. Wow, the hotel is magnificent from the outside. Just look at this entryway and the magnificence of this hotel and everything else that is here. Great, we can go inside and take a look at the hotel. Look at the guard. He's even dressed traditional British garb, but definitely interested to go inside and take a look and have a cold drink. But it looks like sadly you cannot, because it is for hotel residents only. The gentlemen working here were very kind and said that you cannot come in here because this is the main entrance, but you can go into another area. I can understand it. I believe this is the most expensive hotel here in Singapore at, I think, well over $1,000 a night. I think it's actually almost $2,000 US per night. Most of the grounds here are reserved for guests only, and you cannot sit here unless you're dining, but there's other parts apparently where you can go sit. I think we're gonna go sit down, have a cold drink somewhere. Absolutely magnificent grounds. I mean, it is extremely expensive to stay here, but also the service is top notch. Amazing grounds. Doesn't really feel like you're in the middle of the city with these giant palm trees and just the beautiful decor. The grounds here are absolutely massive. It looks like it takes up a whole city block. You have high-end stores. You have a lot of different boutiques here, but we're having a hard time finding a cafe that is open, that is inside, to get some air conditioning. Decided to come inside somewhere and get a drink, and there is a queue here for the long bar. Impressive. The bar is open, and we're finally going to be able to go in and take a seat. Look at that. Beautiful. The fans are still working. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to have the original Singapore sling just to try it out. And it's 41 Singaporean dollars, so that's right around $32 US. One thing that I was not expecting, I would see it in Texas where when you eat the peanut shells, you're not supposed to throw them in here. You're supposed to throw them on the ground, which in a place like this, I'm a little bit surprised, but the lady walked by and said, go ahead and throw the shells on the ground. So that's what we're doing. I got the regular Singapore sling and Sue got the non-alcoholic version. Cheers. This is good. Like I said, this is an expensive drink. 41 Singaporean dollars, which is $30 US. Hers was 18, which is around $12. But we are not only in Singapore having Singapore slings, we are at the hotel where this was invented. So had to have it. Absolutely. So there's quite a queue here now. We got here just in time. Had a nice drink. That was lovely. Really cool place. Like I said, definitely not cheap. Those two drinks came out to be $68 Singaporean, which was $52 US. More than a meal in a lot of places, but I couldn't come here and not try the Singapore sling where it was invented. Okay, now we're going to head over to Chinatown. Okay, a short 5-minute grab ride, and we are at the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple. This is a Chinese temple. We're in Chinatown. Excited to go take a look inside. Okay, Sue is all covered up now. She had forgotten her things back at the hotel, and now we can go inside and take a look. I don't think I've ever been inside a Chinese Buddhist temple, but this place, wow. Of course, having lived in Thailand for 3 years, I've been to dozens and dozens of temples, but not quite like this. Even though I have seen Chinese temples throughout Thailand, this is very different than the ones I'm used to. So, you know, like I said, this is a fun place for me to visit. The spirituality is always wonderful. And I want to show you guys some of what I'm seeing. That was a nice experience. Now we are in Chinatown. Let's go explore, get some food. It's lunchtime and I'm hungry. Lots of touristy stuff here. Things for sale, a bunch of little collectibles, trinkets, like any touristy market, especially for Chinatown. Now, Sue said she knows a good dim sum place, and dim sum sounds like a good meal. So that's where we are heading right now to grab some dim sum. Hopefully a little bit air conditioning, although it's actually cooled off a little bit. Yum Cha Dim Sum Restaurant. Okay, I'm hungry, and Sue's actually not been here either, so we're going to try it for the first time. I just came back to the table, and this is comical. Sue asked for a fork and spoon because she's actually not very good with chopsticks. And of course, they brought it to the white guy, assuming that I'm the one that cannot use chopsticks. That's hilarious. This is the baked mini egg tart. Crispy red bean with bananas. There's the banana. Can't quite get my chopsticks around it to hold, but... All right, the rest of our food is here with the vegetarian rice rolls. We have the pork rice rolls. These are the Chan Pra dumplings. These are the prawn dumplings. Of course, the barbecue pork buns. And then the last but not least is the, what is this? The lotus paste bun. How is it? Good? So much delicious food here. I've already tried a couple things. I love barbecue pork buns. I'm really curious to see how these are. That was quite delicious, and they came out to be 80 Singaporean dollars, which is $60 US for 8 dishes, and I had a beer and we had some tea. So, that's expected here, but now we're in the midst of Chinatown here. Walk around and see what kind of things they have. Some really cool graffiti here. Almost rather skip all the little tchotchke stands selling souvenirs and come in little alleyways like this and look at some of this wonderful graffiti that they have up on the wall. Different scenery, different pictures of people, the way they used to live. This is the kind of stuff I enjoy seeing when I'm going out into areas such as this. There's some really cool graffiti here in this alleyway, some really nice depictions of life during earlier times here in Chinatown. Also notice the complete, utter lack of street food vendors. They moved them all into hawker centers to keep the streets clean so they're not blocking the sidewalk everywhere you walk. And basically, it keeps everything just much more clean environment. It's a little more sanitary. There are drawbacks because street food could be fun, but personally, I prefer to be able to walk down a sidewalk without having street vendors clogging the whole way. All right, Sue grabbed some pandan cake here, so I'm gonna try it out. Looks really delicious. It's like a sponge cake.
It's a pandan, like chiffon cake they call it.
Our next stop was to go over to Little India, and this place was so colorful, and I'm glad we waited until the evening to go check it out because there was just so much to see there. It wasn't a lot of people because we came there during a weekday, but as you can see, there's tons of restaurants all over the place, and in this little area, the nightlife was really busy. We hung out there for a while, but then it started pouring like crazy, so we headed back near our hotel. We found a really nice tapas place on the little walkway not far from our hotel. I've kind of already eaten most of the tapas, but we got chicken right here, and then I got the shrimp, which is absolutely delicious. Patatas bravas. Over here we've got ham. Got some vegetables over here, cauliflower, and then we have the potato croquettes. I can't believe we've been here for 5 days already. I've only got 2 more full days here, and it's time to go back home to Bangkok. I am loving Singapore. It is such a nice city. And right now we're stopping here at Jerry's. Breakfast at Jerry's. Going to grab a little bit of breakfast and then go to a park because Singapore is filled with green spaces and parks, and I want to be able to enjoy them while I'm here. Okay, that was a really good meal. Quite delicious, about $20 Singaporean. Whoops. And now we're going to go here into our little car. Let's go. We're gonna go over to Battle Box. So we got it right here in our Grab. Just dropped this off here at Canning Park. We're going to Battle Box. They used to do guided tours here, but Sue said that they had stopped. So you still have to make reservations to go down into the fort. We've got one at noon, about 15-20 minutes. We're gonna walk around a little bit, and actually in luck because you can now record downstairs before you could not. But look at this place. This is part of the fort. My understanding is that this was a command center, so I'm definitely excited to go in and check it out. But other than that, just the grounds here, the Fort Canning Center and the park looks really stunning. And we are in luck because it is not humid right now. And that is one thing that I'm quickly learning here about Singapore. As beautiful and clean as it is with all the green spaces and everything, it is ridiculously expensive to live here. We had dinner with some of Sue's friends last night, and they told us that, you know, even for just a simple room in a shared situation where you have a shared kitchen, you might have your own bathroom, you're going to be paying about $2,000 Singaporean, which is about $1,500 US. Extremely expensive. If you want your own place with your own kitchen, your own bathroom, you're looking at $3,000 to $4,000 minimum, and that is not even going to be in the prime location of downtown near your work. You're still going to have a commute. So it is very expensive to live here. Okay, we're now going to go into the bunker. It's kind of a self-guided tour. They started building the bunker in 1936 and it was completed in 1939. It's actually a command center for Allied forces during World War II. Okay, we're now walking into the bunker. More phones in here, and this is obviously a communication center. Here in this other room, you can actually hear the Morse code. This is the communication systems. Morse code was obviously a common way of transmitting information, all binary code, and it's a good way to send information before they actually had any kind of long-distance phone communication systems, and they could also encrypt what they were sending. This original area, this park, everything was built, I believe, in the early 1800s. And now we're entering one of the command centers. Now the Japanese eventually did overrun this area and take it over, but here you can see all of the captains, all the military people setting up the command center, and obviously all the different ships and all the different stations that they're using. This is a really interesting display. I've not quite seen anything this thorough yet through the few forts that I have been to. I'm glad that Sue decided to bring me over here to show me this, because this is quite interesting. I'm not a huge military buff, but something about World War II for me is always quite fascinating. And anytime you can walk through an old fort, an old building like this, it is just so interesting. And this is obviously one of the entry-exit ways here. You can see the ladder going straight up to the top. I think it's quite interesting. If you're a military buff like World War II, definitely check out this fort. There's still a lot more here to Canning Park. We're going to walk around, explore it, and we'll show you some more of it as well. It's actually Fort Canning, not Canning Park, but there is several parks here. That's why I said that. Really nice grounds, very beautiful and quite large. And now the humidity is back again. It is very humid here in Singapore. I know I've mentioned that before. I'm still shocked how much more humid it is here compared to Thailand. You can hear the cicadas kind of going crazy, making all sorts of noise. We are now here in Raffles Garden, and this structure here is part of what used to be Sir Raffles' house. He stayed in this house from, I believe, 1823 to 1824 on top of this hill. This whole Fort Canning area has a lot of rich history, dating back hundreds of years, actually. And it's really nice to see the Singaporean government is maintaining it well. It's a beautiful park. There's so many sections through it. We're not going to make it to every single part. Just going to walk around a little bit, check it out, and then go explore some more of the city because, well, we've only got 2 days left here. Beautiful entryway here through this little garden. This is magnificent. I keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. Absolutely loving the green spaces here in Singapore. They're laid out so well, and I just can't get enough of this stuff. Really trying to take it in for the last couple of days that we're here. Just look at this. Beautiful flowers, trees, the things that you would expect to find in a garden, but I'm just so happy to see all this nature. This hawker center here at Lau Pu Sat has been around for 130 years. It is gigantic, and we drove by it when we first came into Singapore to our hotel. So we've been really curious to come check it out. That's why we come here at night. It's definitely full of people. It is super humid tonight, but some of these places have indoor sections so you can sit inside. Super excited, hungry, gotta go walk around, grab some food. Looks like they have everything here, including some Michelin rated places. So tons of choices. Maybe we'll just try a bunch of things at different places. They've even closed down the street, and there's an outdoor section here. Lots of other places making food. This place is just absolutely rammed. Finding a table might be a little difficult tonight. I've really been craving Turkish, so got myself a chicken hummus plate. Sue is out getting something else to eat right now, and at least we got ourselves a table right here. Honestly, this just isn't that good. The hummus is very grainy, and the chicken just has a ton of sweetness to it. Not my favorite by any means. Sue got herself some char kway dao. It's some kind of a Malaysian noodle, all vegetarian. Looks pretty good. I went and got myself some Indian food, and I gotta say, although spicy, it is delicious. The Turkish food, which was this place, not good at all. Very bad. But the Indian food, really loved it. I got it over at the Indian stall right across. On our last day in Singapore, Sue and I decided to take a grab over to Cathedral Square out in the suburbs. They were having a vintage market there, and I wanted to go take a look. And we're going to be near the ocean. Wanted to go take one last look at the water before we had to leave the next day. If you've been watching my videos, you know how much I love vintage markets, thrift markets, flea markets. Sue and I came out here to Cathedral Square because today they're having a vintage flea market. It looks kind of small, but we'll go walk around, take a look. And we are here in the suburbs, and I'm excited to go check out this area to see what the suburbs of Singapore look like. There's quite a few things here, but only a few vendors, and I can comfortably say that the secondhand markets that I've seen in Thailand are definitely larger and better quality and better quantity of items, but that's just because there's just so many more people in Thailand, and Singapore is just such a small country, so this was to be expected. The prices here are, well, they are very, very steep, but then again, this is Singapore, so everything is expensive. It looks like there's a lot more inside this building, so go check it out, see what they got. Hopefully you'll find something interesting to buy. Even these old community apartment buildings or these subsidized government housing, they are in really good condition. Every building like this that we have seen has been freshly painted. They're all in good condition, and it's a very safe area, which is more than I can say for the same types of areas back in the US. Definitely would not be walking through some of the project housing back in the US like this. And the ocean is just on the other side of this highway here, and there is a little pathway you can go underneath to walk over to the ocean. So let's go over there and see it. A tunnelway system like this in the US would be covered in graffiti with some homeless person probably urinating in the corner. So this is quite impressive to see how clean this is. So there are public beaches here, obviously not very beautiful in the sense of the views. You have all these container ships, but there's lots of people that do come to the beach here. A little sand, I'm sure the water is nice and warm. Today's a public holiday, it's Good Friday right before Easter, and that's why you see so many people out here, but quite serene. So what are my thoughts on Singapore as a whole? You know, as I mentioned before, it is an extremely clean country from what I've seen so far. Beautiful sidewalks, so many green spaces here. It's definitely geared towards people for walking and for cycling, and the urban planning here is magnificent. I would say it's some of the best urban planning I've seen, even when compared to Western countries that I have been to. Air is fresh, easy to get around, not a lot of cars because it is so expensive. Huge variety of food, obviously also very low crime, and I'm really enjoying here. It's well organized, well thought out, things are built well. All the apartment buildings that we've seen, the older ones, they maintain them well, they have been painted, they seem to really keep things up, and that's all great. As far as some of the downsides, I would say number one thing is going to be cost. It is very expensive to live here from what I'm seeing. I haven't lived here, just here on vacation, but even the things that I'm seeing, you know, what's considered here more inexpensive food is still around $6-7 per meal, which is not the cheapest I've seen, especially when you consider that we are in Southeast Asia. Owning a car here is just wild. We're talking a minimum of $150,000 US for the most basic like Honda Jazz or whatever you might think of, because of the COE that you have to get that will give you 10 years of driving privileges, after which, like I said, you either scrap the car or you buy another COE. It's also a pretty strict country from what I'm seeing, so I wouldn't call it authoritarian, but I would definitely say that it's very rule-based and you definitely have to follow the rules, which has its pluses, has its minuses. It just depends the way you look at it. Really would be unfair to compare it to Thailand because there's just so many differences, so many things that are better here, things that are better in Thailand. I think that if you can afford it, the quality of life here is probably going to be better, like I said, because it is cleaner and it's just so many parks, and I love that. Whereas comparing it to Thailand, Bangkok specifically, there's so few green spaces, there's no really good sidewalks, and it's just kind of difficult to get around actually. The metro system here is really wild. I haven't tried most of it, went on a couple times, but there's like 8 different lines. You can go through the whole place. I think it's a great place to visit. It's a wonderful place for families, for vacations. They definitely tend to attract a higher level of tourists, ones that are a little bit better heeled. You know, you're not getting a lot of backpackers coming through here because of the expense, and you're not getting some of the low-grade tourists that you would in some other places in the world. I probably spent right around $4,000 to $4,500. Again, that's a large amount, but that is because we stayed at a 5-star hotel, flew here via Singapore Air instead of the more budget carriers, been using Grab Premium to go everywhere, ate at some quite nice restaurants where some of the bills were $100 to $200 for a meal in Singaporean dollars at least. But I would say about $4,000 to $4,500 US is what I've spent on this trip. Well, it looks like we are escaping the thunder. Really enjoyed this time here in Singapore. The week went by so fast, and now it is time to return to Thailand. Guys, why don't you check out some of my other videos? Please make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all very soon in another episode.